والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. الحديث السابع والأربعون 47th Hadith عن مقدام ابن معدي كرب رضي الله عنه قال: سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول: ما ملأ آدمي وعاء شرا من بطن بحسب ابن آدم أكلات يقمن صلبه، فإن كان لا محالة فثلث لطعامه وثلث لشرابه وثلث لنفسه. رواه الإمام أحمد والترمذي والنسائي وابن ماجه. وقال الترمذي حديث حسن. This hadith on Miqdam. Al-Miqdam is majrur after an. Ibn is the badal. Ma'di Karib, that's a foreign name, that's not an Arabic name, that's just how it is. Ma'di Karib. And it's probably, Allah knows best, but I can't say. I do have a book up there though, I can look it up. 1 second, let me get it. Not that. Sorry about that. I started packing my library for moving, and I packed up my i'rab of the Arba'in Hadith. I was going to say, Allah knows best, it might be a fatah here because it's a foreign name and they're usually not. They're usually memnun min as-sarf, but I'm not sure about that, so I'm not sure for that Ma'di Qarib. No. He said, قال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم رسول مفعول به منسوب. I heard what? I heard the Messenger of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول, saying, ما ملأ آدمي. The ma here is a negation, right? It's a negation. And mala'a is the past tense coming from mim, lam, hamza, meaning to fill up. Ma mala'a adamiyun. This is the fa'il, marfu'. Adami means basically the human being, right? Or one of the children of Adam, like they say, Bani Adam. Adamiyun, meaning like a human, a person, doesn't fill wi'a'an. Fill what? Wi'a'an, mansoob, maf'ulun bihi. Wi'a coming from waw, ayn, ya, alif maksura, right? Meaning a vessel. A vessel. Meaning any type of vessel. A plate, a bowl, a cup, right? A vessel. Sharran min batnin. Sharran is evil. But shar, like the word khair, right? It is in its normal form as well as its superlative form. So when we have Hasan becomes Ahsan, Shar becomes Shar, and Khair becomes Khair. It doesn't have that superlative form. It's built into it, right? So here it's in its superlative form. ما ملأ آدمي وعاء شرا من بطن. More evil. A person does not fill a vessel, more evil, min batnin, then when we have min after a superlative, it means then, right? We don't say he is more beautiful from her. I apologize for that. We don't say he is more beautiful than her, or she is more, or I'm from her, or it is bigger from it. No, we say than it, or than her, or than him. So, ما ملأ آدمي وعاء شرا من بطن. A person doesn't fill a vessel more evil than his stomach, or than a stomach. The vessel, the most evil vessel to fill is a stomach. بحسب ابن آدم أكلات يقمن صلبة. بحسب here means it's sufficient. It is sufficient. Hasb, like we say, Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. Hasbunallah, Allah is sufficient for us. Right? بحسب ابن Adam, it is sufficient for Ibn Adam. Akalatun, from akala, right? Here it means food or meal or bites, something along that line. You translate it as you like. Akalatun yuqimna, from qaf waw mim, right? To stand erect, as we say. Qama yaqumu, to stand erect, right? To stand erect. When we like establish the salat, right? It is to stand erect. Or to, yeah, to stand or to erect. So yaqumna, to straighten out, to stand erect, is spinal or backbone. Sulb, sulba is the sulbun, is the backbone, the spinal cord. So بحسب ابن آدم أكلات يقمن صلبة, meaning it's sufficient for the son of Adam, enough food to make his back straight, to straighten his back out. You know, something he's not humped over out of hunger. فإن كان لا محالة, so if, فإن is if, and kana here, I'm not sure if we would even translate it. We'll see in a second. La mahala is a phrase. Ha mahala comes from ha waw lam. But it could come from a word which could mean a solution, from heal, right? Heal, or hal, right? Could mean solution. La mahala, meaning if there's no solution, but it really means here if there's no other way, if there's no other, if you're not able to do that, basically. If you're not able to just eat enough for your back. I mean, if it's inevitable that you eat more than that, right? فَثُلُثٌ لِطَعَامِ, then a third for his food. So thuluthun is a third. Li is for ta'amihi, third for his food. Wa thuluthun li sharabihi, and a third for his drink. Wa thuluthun li nafasihi, and a third for his breath. Al-Imam Ahmed, he narrated this. Imam is the fa'il. Ahmed is just a badal. Tirmidhi is harful, wow is harful atf, the harf of connecting two things, and this is ma'tuf. Tirmidhi is called ma'tuf, meaning connected to Imam, I guess, right? When Nasa'i, same thing. Wa Ibn Majah, wa qala Tirmidhi, hadithun hasan. Any questions?
لا.
إذن اقرأ لنا يا أبا طاهر.
عن المقدام بن معدي كربة رضي الله عنه. كربة نعم. قال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول ما ملأ آدمي وياء شارا من بطن بحسب ابن آدم أكلة يكمن صلبة فإن كان لا محالة فثلث لطعامه وثلث لشرابه وثلث لنفسه. رواه Imam Ahmed.
I said the same thing. Nafasihi, nafasa. That the fa is not, doesn't have a sukoon on it.
نعم.
From tanafasa, like breath. Yeah.
طيب. وثلث لنفسه. رواه إمام أحمد والترمذي والنسائي وابن ماجه وقال الترمذي حديث حسن.
No. And since it's no Abdullah, I'll read it again just for anybody who might listen later on. عن مقدام ابن معدي كربة رضي الله عنه قال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول ما ملأ آدمي وعاء شرا من بطن بحسب ابن آدم أكلات يقمن صلبه فإن كان لا محالة فثلث لطعامه وثلث لشرابه وثلث لنفسه. رواه الإمام أحمد والترمذي والنسائي وابن ماجه وقال الترمذي حديث حسن. الحديث 48 48th حديث عن عبد الله ابن عمرو رضي الله عنهما عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال 40 من كن فيه كان منافقا وإن كانت خصلة منهن فيه كانت فيه خصلة من النفاق حتى يدعها. من إذا حدث كذب وإذا وعد أخلف وإذا خاصم فجر وإذا عاهد غدر. خرجه البخاري والمسلم. Abdi becomes, or Abdu became Abdi after An. Abdullahi mudaf mudaf ilay. Ibn is a badal for Abd. It just takes its place. I could say An Ibn Amir. Right? Or Amir, not Amir. Amir. Then Amir is majroor because it is mudaf ilay. And we remember that this wow here is only here to distinguish it from Omar. Right? Omar. Right? And if it was mansub, Omar would be, if it was majroor, Omar would be Omara because it's mamnu min as-sarf. So, an Abdullah ibn Amr, and this is Ibn al-As, Abdullah ibn Amr, both Abdullah and Amr were Sahaba, so we say, radiyallahu anhuma. عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. Nabi is majroor after عن. قال 4 من كن فيه كان منافقا. Whoever كن, they are or were, and it's talking about the four, right? These four. Men kunna fihi, whoever they are or were in him. Fihi, in him. Kana, then he is or he was munafiqan. Munafiqan is mansub because it is the ismu kana. Ismu kana is mansub. Right? أربعون من كن فيه كان منافقا. Whoever has four in him, then he's a munafiq. وإن كانت خصلة منهن فيه كانت فيه خصلة من النفاق حتى يدعها. وإن كانت, and if خصلة كانت, and if there was a khasla, one of these characteristics. A khasla is a characteristic. It can also mean like unique characteristics to someone, right? But here, a distinguishing characteristic. Here it's characteristic, right? Whoever has one of these characteristic, which is one, khaslatun, not khisal, right? Khisal is the plural. And that's what we're talking about here. Arba'un khisal, right? Four characteristics. Whoever has them, he's a munafiq. وَإِنْ كَانَ خَصْلَةٌ مِّنْهُنَا, and if it's just one characteristic, just one, minhunna, min these four, fihi, in him, kanat fihi, then there is in him, khaslatun, one characteristic, min an-nifaq, from hypocrisy, hatta yada'aha, from da'u, meaning to leave, hatta yada'ahu. Like we have the hadith that we studied before, da' ma yuribuk illa ma la yuribuk. Leave what makes you doubt for that which does not make you doubt. Yet da', right? Yada'aha, until he leaves it. Arba'un, men kunna fihi, four. Whoever has them in him, kana munafiqan, then he's a munafiq. وإن كانت خصلة منهن فيه, and if there's one characteristic from them in him, كانت فيه, then there is in him خصلة من النفاق, a characteristic of hypocrisy, حتى يدعها, until he leaves it. من إذا حدث كذب, whoever, whoever, إذا, when, حدث, he talks, كذب, he lies. حدث is to talk, كذب, to lie. وإذا وعد أخلف, and if he makes a promise, وعد, he makes a promise. إن الله لا يخلف الميعاد, right? إنه لا يخلف الميعاد, ميعاد, وعد, to promise. وإذا وعد أخلف, and if he promises, then he goes against it. أخلف, basically he breaks it, right? From khilaf, he does the opposite. He says he's going to do one thing, he does the opposite. He breaks his promise. وَإِذَا خَاصَمَ فَجَرَ, and if he khasama, we did this when we did Usul Sunnah of Imam Ahmed, khusuma, so on and so forth, meaning when he argues, when he debates, fajara, he becomes filthy in his speech, he becomes over angry and he curses and uses bad language and he talks bad. This is the fajara. And when he debates, he basically goes overboard in his with bad manners, right? From the word like fajr, uh, doer or sinner, like this. وَإِذَا عَاهَدَ غَدَرَ. وَإِذَا عَاهَدَ, and if he makes a covenant, right, then he is treacherous to it, right? He makes a covenant with the people and he betrays that covenant, right? There's a difference between wa'ada akhlafa. He told someone he's going to do something. I'll hold this for you. I'll take care of this for you. And then he breaks that promise versus ahada ghadara. He makes a promise or a covenant with, like, a larger thing. This is a covenant. This is like he gives bayat to a king and then he goes and sells secrets, or this is two different levels of something going on here. Kharrajahu al-Bukhari wa Muslim. Then the Bukhari and Muslim, they brought this hadith forward. Any questions?
No.
تفضل أبا طاهر.
عن عبد الله بن عمر رضي الله عنهما أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: 40 من كن فيه كان منافقا، وإن كانت خصلة منهن فيه كانت فيه خصلة من النفاق حتى يدعها. من إذا حدث كذب، وإذا وعد أخلف، وإذا خصم فجر، وإذا عاهد غدر. خرجه البخاري ومسلم.
Like I said, I'll read it. Give Abdullah time maybe to come before the last couple hadith. عن عبد الله بن عامر رضي الله عنهما عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: 4 من كن فيه كان منافقا، وإن كانت خصلة منهن فيه كانت فيه خصلة من النفاق حتى يدعها. من إذا حدث كذب، وإذا وعد أخلف، وإذا خاصم فجر، وإذا عاهد غدر. خرجه البخاري ومسلم. And even though this isn't the time for explaining the hadith, then we know that this is the nifaq al-amali, the nifaq, the hypocrisy of actions, not the nifaq of i'tiqadi. The nifaq of belief. This isn't the nifaq of belief, the one that makes you a hypocrisy or a hypocrite in the bottom part of the hellfire. Rather, this is nifaq amali. To say that, we're saying that the one who has these characteristics, someone who they lie and they break their promise and they get belligerent when they argue and they are treacherous in their covenants. You can't say, no, you're a complete munafiq because the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ says this. You're not a Muslim. No, this isn't about takfir or not takfir. This is about the nifaq al-amali. However, we say that if a person were to continue on that path, right, then it may lead to that, because we know that Shaitan doesn't approach us and just tell you disbelieve because you won't do so, but he'll approach you through small sins and get you to eventually follow up with the big ones. So we want to be careful of, number one, making takfir of someone or because we see these things in them, and number two, we want to not take them so lightly that we don't give them some weight, because they could lead to something bigger than that. Al-Hadithu at-Tasi'u wa Ishrun. What is nifaq in actions? That's just there, right there. A person speaks, he lies. A person makes a promise, he breaks it. Person gets into an argument, he becomes belligerent. He yells, he cusses them out, he calls them names. That's nifaq al-amali, that's nifaq in actions. Versus one who says they believe in Allah when they don't really believe. They're just doing it because the Muslims have the upper hand right now, and they're going to try to weaken Islam from within. The person who tells a lie and says, I didn't come to class because or not, I didn't come to class, something else. I wasn't on time because my car broke down, and your car didn't really break down. That person's not trying to destroy Islam. He's not looking for, with his actions, to destroy Islam. Versus the one who has nifaq of i'tiqad, he's looking for a way to destroy Islam. So we have a nifaq in our actions and a nifaq in our i'tiqad. الحديث التاسع والأربعون عن عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: لو أنكم توكلون على الله حق توكله لرزقكم كما يرزق الطير تغدو خماصا وتروح بطانا. رواه الإمام أحمد والترمذي والنسائي وابن ماجه وابن حبان في صحيحه والحاكم وقال الترمذي حسن صحيح. This hadith from Omar, and Omar is mamnu min as-sarf, so it becomes majroor with a fatha. Ibn is a badal, and since it's not mamnu min as-sarf, you can see the obvious sign of jar, which is the kasra. Ibn al-Khattabi mudaf ilayh, radiyallahu anhu, because only Omar was a Muslim, Khattab wasn't, right? عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, on the authority of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, Nabi majroor after an, قال: لو أنكم, low is if, أنكم, anna is basically that, لو أنكم, low that you, if, basically if you were, we're not going to necessarily translate the anna, right? Tawakkaluna, from wakala, meaning tawakkul is to rely and to trust in Allah. So annakum tawakkaluna, if you relied alallahi, upon Allah, haqqa tawakkulihi, relied on him. This haqqa is the hal, right? It's called the hal, meaning the condition. How do you rely upon him? Haqqa tawakkulihi, the tawakkul that he deserves. Haqqa, meaning that the true tawakkul, the true tawakkul, the tawakkul that Allah deserves. لو أنكم توكلون على الله حق توكله, if you were to rely upon Allah, the true tawakkul, the tawakkul he deserves, la razaqakum, la here is an emphasis. Razaqa is to provide. Kum maf'ulun bihi, right? Lo razaqakum, Allah, he would provide for you, kama, just as, yarzuqu at-tayra, yarzuqu at-tayra, he provides for a bird, or birds, right? Provides for birds, maf'ulun bihi, a bird. Taqdu, from Ghain dal wow, like we had this before. Min ghada ar-raha Talking about whoever goes to the masjid morning and evening, whoever goes and comes back from the masjid, right? Taqdu, he goes out. Khimasan, from Kha Mim Sad, meaning he goes out with an empty stomach. Taqdu khimasan, he leaves his nest, even though the word nest isn't there. He goes out in the morning. Khimasan, he goes out hungry. وَتَرُوحُ بِطَانًا, and he returns. Taruhu, they return, they go out, they return. Taruhu, and they return from Gada wa Raha, right? From Rawaha, meaning here to return. Bitanan, with their stomach full, right? With their stomach full. They go out, Tagdu Khimasan, they go out with an empty stomach. وَتَرُوحُ بِطَانًا, and they come back with a full stomach. Rawahu al-Imam Ahmed. Al-Imam is the fa'il, or Rawa, who is the maf'ulun bihi. Rawahu, narrated it. Al-Imam Ahmed is the badal. At-Tirmidhi, ismu ma'tuf, wal-Nasa'i, ma'tuf, again connected to Imam. Ibn Majah, as we said, Majah doesn't take anything on this hat. It's always going to be a sukoon. That's that language that from where he's from. Ibn Hibana, Hiban, as we see, is mamnu min as-sarf. So it takes a fatha when it's majroor. Fi sahihi, in his sahih. Wal-Hakim, وقال الترمذي حسن صحيح. Right? Any questions? اقرأ لنا أبا طاهر.
And Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu and an-Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam قال لو أنكم توكلون على الله حق توكله لرزقكم كما يرزق الطير تغدو كماسا وتروح بطانا. رواه إمام أحمد والترمذي والنسائي وابن ماجه وابن حبان في صحيحه والحاكم وقال الترمذي حسن صحيح.
Bill has his mic off, so I'll read for him. عن عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال لو أنكم توكلون على الله حق توكله لرزقكم كما يرزق الطير تغدو خماسا وتروح بطانا. رواه الإمام أحمد والترمذي والنسائي وابن ماجه وابن حبان في صحيحه والحاكم وقال الترمذي حسن صحيح. I don't know how you feel, but I usually feel at the end of a dora, I usually feel happy that the book is done, but I feel sad at the same time.
No.
Like I feel happy that we accomplished something, but I feel sad at the same time. Al-Hadith al-Khamsun, the 50th Hadith, عن عبد الله بن بصر رضي الله عنه قال أتى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم رجل فقال يا رسول الله إن شرائع الإسلام قد كثرت علينا فباب نتمسك به جامع قال لا يزال لسانك رطبا من ذكر الله عز وجل. خرجه الإمام أحمد بهذا اللفظ. This hadith is a really befitting hadith to end something like a book like this, right? Especially a hadith which yaduru fiha al-Islam, that the Islam surrounds them. You know, Islam goes around these hadith. That's the whole purpose, that these hadith are kind of like foundations in Islam. They're kind of like principles, right? That Islam is surrounding around. So an Abdullah, Abdi was Abdu, but an came before it. So it became Abdi, Abdullah, Ibni is the badal for Abd, and Busrin is mudaf ilayh. Radiallahu anhu. قال Ata is to come, or he came. Ata an-Nabiyya sallallahu alayhi wasallam rajulun. Our fa'il is here, rajulun. A man came, and Nabiyya came where? Came to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. It's mansub, maf'ulun bihi. He's the object of the coming. He came to the Prophet. Ata an-Nabiyyu, came to the Prophet a man. Why is it in that order? Just the way they said it, right? فَقَالَ, so he said, Ya Rasulullah. Rasula is mansub because of the ya, and it's mudaf ilayh. Inna shara'iya al-Islam. Inna is a harf nasb, a particle that makes the noun following it mansub. Shara'iya is from sheen ra ain, like the word sharia, right? Sharia, shara'i is the plural here for the laws, right? Shara'iya, the laws al-Islami, mudaf ilayh. The laws of Islam, qad kathurat. Qad is an emphasis, kathurat alayna, meaning they have become many. Kathurat, they have become many. Alayna, feminine, because shara'i is a non-intellectual plural, right? They have become many. Inna shara'i al-Islami qad kathurat alayna. They've become many upon us. What we could eat, not eat, what we could do, not do, all of this has become a lot. فَبَابٌ نَتَمَسَّكُ بِهِ جَامِعٌ. So here it's a question, but it's not really in the form of a question. فَبَابٌ. So an opening or a chapter or something that we could do. It could be a bab, like the word bab is not necessarily, the bab isn't necessarily this thing here with the handle. It's not necessarily the bab. Rather, the bab is the opening here, right? And the door closes it, right? But this thing is the bab, this opening. So when you have an opening, you say sadd al-bab, close that opening, right? So fababun, it could be here, so give us a chapter, or it could be give us a subject or something. It could be give us an opening. Natamassaku bihi, meaning some type of ease. When we say opening here, we're going to mean some type of ease. Give us a way out. Natamassaku bihi. Natamassaku from mim, sin, kaf, meaning to hold on to it. Natamassaku, that we will hold on, bihi, to it. Jami'un is a description of bab. It's marfu', it's marfu'. It doesn't have alif lam, it doesn't have alif lam. It's one, it's one. It's male, it's male. The adjective just came that far back, right? Give us a complete or a comprehensive, you could say, subject, or a comprehensive opening, a comprehensive way out, right, of this difficulty. Because the shara'i al-Islam qad katharat alayna. They become a lot on us. So give us something, a comprehensive way out that we can hold on to. قال صلى الله عليه وسلم لا يزال لسانك رطبا من ذكر الله عز وجل. لا يزال. Yazal is from Zala Yazalu. Look it up. Zay Waw Lam. Meaning to cease. Yazal is to cease. La Yazal is don't or doesn't cease or don't cease. Like the hadith that says, La tazalu ta'ifatun min ummati. There will not cease to be a group from my nation. Zahirina al-haq. So, victorious upon the truth. Hatta yakum musa. Until the hour is established, right? La tazalu. Here, La yazalu lisanuka. Lisanuka is the file. Don't let your tongue cease. Your tongue, ka. La yazalu lisanuk. Don't let your tongue cease or stop. Ratban. Ratab, right? This is something that you know. Rutab, you may not know in the West, right? Unless you've traveled overseas or you've had someone come from the Middle East during Ramadan. Rutab are like fresh dates, not the wrinkled up ones, not the ones that come in that vacuum sealed pack, right, with all the juice around them and they're sticky. No, rutab are more like grapes. They're fresh and they're yellowish color, right? They're not like that. This is rutab. This is rutab because they're fresh. They're moist still. When they become all wrinkled up like a raisin does, this is the date. This is the tamar that we're used to, right? That we're used to in the West. But when it's a rutab, it's fresh. It's moist. Ratban here is your tongue being moist or wet. Wet, like when your tongue, you talk too much, or if you don't talk rather, and you're silent for a long time, then your tongue becomes dry. Whereas if you're talking and speaking, then you have to constantly, I don't know the word, the verb for it, salivate your mouth, right? I don't know if that's the word. You have to constantly produce saliva in your mouth, right? Salivate, that probably makes sense, salivate. La yazalu lisanuka ratban. Don't let your tongue cease to be moist or wet. Min dhikrillahi azza wa jal. From the remembrance of Allah azza wa jal. Meaning the shara'i of Islam, the rules of Islam, the laws of Islam are a lot. It's hard on you. Then make sure at the least that you are. That doesn't mean you got the chance to go out there and sin, that you can avoid it. But when things are difficult, you don't know, at least keep your tongue moist from the remembrance of Allah Azza wa Jal. Kharajahu al-Imam Ahmed bihadha love means with this wording. Any questions?
Yeah.
Abdullah left out on us. Alhamdulillah. Go ahead and read it for us, Akh.
عن عبد الله بن بصر رضي الله عنه قال أتى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم رجل فقال يا رسول الله إن شرائع الإسلام قد كثرت علينا فباب نتمسك به جامع قال لا يزال لسانك رطبا من ذكر الله عز وجل خرجه الإمام أحمد بهذا اللفظ.
نعم. I'll read for Abdullah again. Al-Hadith al-Khamsun an Abdullah ibn Busr رضي الله عنه قال أتى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم رجل فقال يا رسول الله إن شرائع الإسلام قد كثرت علينا فباب نتمسك به جامع قال لا يزال لسانك رطبا من ذكر الله عز وجل خرجه الإمام أحمد بهذا اللفظ. Alhamdulillah, we finished it. Now we'll send out the inshallah. Maybe not now, but maybe in the next week or two, if I get to it, I will send out the isnad, just because, like I said, I'm in the process of moving. But just one thing, go back and try to read this book. Try to read the Mutun Talib al-Ilm. Go back and read Nawaqid al-Islam and Qawaid al-Arba and Thalathatul Usul and these Hadith, right? Go back and read them and see how much you're understanding without needing the notes, without needing the Arabic translation word for word. How much are you understanding? I guarantee, if you've been paying attention, if you've really been doing so, then even when it comes to a word that you don't remember its meaning, you will remember the gist of the hadith. And probably you will be able to even figure out what that one word is, or two words that you don't know. You probably won't know it maybe by reading it, but when you figure out the rest of the hadith by knowing what the meaning is in English, basically, then you will be able to know what that meaning of that word is in Arabic. Right? And we do the same thing in English all the time, right? They mention some type of doctor, right? And then when it says, what kind of doctor is that, man? What kind of podiatrist? What is a podiatrist, or what? I don't understand that. What is that? And then it goes and explains what he did and who he saw and what he worked on and what he x-rayed or whatever, and he say, oh, okay, that's this kind of doctor. It's a foot doctor or a back doctor or this doctor, And we do the same thing in English. And you could do the same thing in Arabic and continuously read these until you understand them all. And there is no, go back to the audios if you have to. They're all on YouTube, alhamdulillah. So go back to them and, try to figure it out. Use your dictionary. You don't need to go to the audio and what minute it was and what video it was and all that. Use your dictionary. Use your Hanjware. Use your Al-Mawrid or whatever dictionary you have. And figure out these words and read them until you can understand them, because we're about to go to the explanations, and then you're going to pick up even more. The book, and Allah knows best, alhamdulillah, she says it costs $12 to print the book, $12 or 12 cents per page. You could buy the book from, Allah knows best, from Dar es Salaam or somewhere, if you want the bigger book that you could write in, I actually printed them out on letter size paper, and then I could write on the back of them and next to them and all that stuff, for notes and for stuff in the future, who knows what I might do with it, but you could print it out, or you can, just buy the book, whatever, but reread it. Don't think that you accomplished it unless you really accomplished it. If you know what it is now and you can read it, and then that's fine. But anyway, Thalathatul Usul is something that Muhammad ibn Ibrahim, he used to read it. Man, if I'm not mistaken, now I'm going to confuse a couple of stories. One of the Salaf, he used to read, I think Bin Baz used to read it 3 times a week. And Muhammad ibn Ibrahim used to read it just constantly, every day. When he finished it, whatever he finished, he start back over again every day with Thalathatul Usul. And you could do the same thing for all of this, man. You could read Nawaqid al-Islam and Qawaid al-Arba every day. It's just easy. Just pick a day. I'm going to read it on Jummah. I'm going to read it on Sabt. Thalathatul Usul, whenever you got a longer period of time, a little bit. I'm going to read it at least once a week. 40 hadith, I'm going to divide it into 50 pages or 50 hadith. And this is what? We have 62 pages. I'm going to basically read 10 pages a day. and then I'm gonna read,
Yeah.
or you know, something like that. You know what I mean? Say 12 pages a day. That's 60 pages, right? And if I go up top, it might even be the title, and you won't even need that 60. You might only need 61. Let me see. Yes, 60. Yes, it'll be 60 pages, not even 62, because the first two pages you won't read. The title and the manuscript pages. So do 60. Say I'm gonna read 12 pages a day. That's five. You know, that's 5 days, and on one day I'm gonna read Thalathatul Usul, and on the other days I'm gonna read Nawaqid al-Islam and Quad al-Arba. And I'm gonna do this every day until I memorize it, or every day until I understand every word. You know what I mean? And just keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. It's not going to take you more than 20, 30 minutes. Allah knows best.
Jazakallah khair.
Well, yeah. Well, Saturday, or Yom Jumu'ah, Saturday for me, we will start, we will start the explanation of Nawaqid al-Islam.
No.
If the brother doesn't come for conversation class, which I kind of think he might not, Allah knows best. Come for, we'll do Nawaqid al-Islam, the explanation of Abdul Muhsin al-Qasim, the one who put these books together. We'll do his explanation, and inshallah we'll finish that before Ramadan, inshallah ta'ala. So I will see you guys then. يوم ليلة الجمعة. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.